Have you ever wondered why groups of really smart people consistently get stuck in these incredibly frustrating, totally stagnant situations? Well, in this explainer, we're diving into a famous economic theory that perfectly captures why human beings and entire groups just stall out. And we're going to look at this through a very specific, deeply historical lens, the sacred walls of a Masonic brotherhood. Whether you're already deep into the philosophy of Freemasonry or just, fascinated by the weird mechanics of human nature, this breakdown of structural stalemate is absolutely going to change how you look at group dynamics.
There's this blunt, honestly kind of brutal truth about human nature, and it goes like this. Everyone adapts, no one improves, the system stagnates. That is exactly what goes down when everyone in a group is acting purely out of their own immediate self-interest. Think about it. When we're completely focused on our own survival or just getting a leg up, we just adapt to whatever dysfunction is already there. But since everyone is doing the exact same thing, just surviving, nobody actually improves the environment. The whole system just freezes up. Total stagnation.
Section 1. The concept. The Nash Equilibrium explained. So to understand why we do this, we need to talk about the Nash Equilibrium. It was developed by the brilliant mathematician John Nash, and it describes a really specific, maddening trap. It's a condition where no individual can improve their situation on their own simply because every other person is reacting with the exact same self-serving logic. If you try to change your strategy to help the group, but nobody else joins in, you're the one left holding the bag. So logically, everyone just stays perfectly, frustratingly stuck.
Section 2. The traps of human nature, the highway and the concert. Let's make this real. Imagine you're stuck on a jammed-up highway. You think to yourself, hey, if I just change lanes, I'll move a bit faster. But guess what? Everyone else on that road is acting on that exact same rational self-interest, so they all change lanes too. And the result? Pure, absolute frustration, total disorder, and literally zero progress. Every single driver's action makes perfect sense to them in the moment, but collectively, the road just turns into a giant monument to impatience. We see this exact same ego trap at live events, right? You're sitting there enjoying a concert until the guy right in front of you decides to stand up to get a better view. Well, now you can't see, so you have to stand. Then the person behind you has to stand. Before you know it, the whole section is standing up, everyone's legs are hurting, and here's the craziest part. Literally nobody has a better view than when they were all just sitting down. The equilibrium shifted, sure, but it shifted to a much worse state for everyone involved. Section 3. The stalemate of the lodge, the microcosm of human nature. Now, if we're really honest with ourselves, this principle isn't just about economics or bad traffic. This exact dynamic lives right inside the human soul, and yes, even within the brotherhood of a Masonic Lodge. Inside the lodge, you might have one brother thinking, if I just protect my influence, I'm secure. Another might say, I'll just stay quiet, to avoid the conflict. Or maybe, I'm only going to support my own tight circle of friends. Just like whipping the steering wheel to change lanes on that highway, these choices feel incredibly rational to the individual. But collectively, the fundamental trust just rots away, and slowly every man starts looking around, wondering why the temple just doesn't feel alive anymore. When that happens, the whole environment morphs into a theater of personalities. You get one man seeking prominence, another chasing recognition, a third grabbing for authority. And that quiet, beautiful dignity of collaborative labor, it's completely replaced by sheer vanity. What's supposed to be a sacred assembly of equals just devolves into a stage for self-promotion. But Freemasonry, if you look at its own core texts, was never meant to be a personality contest. The working tools of the craft are designed to refine everyone equally, not to build a pedestal for one guy to stand over the rest. Section 4. The Masonic counterbalance, resisting the drift. So we're looking at a pretty stark contrast here. The profane world outside the lodge, it runs on individual optimization. It maximizes advantage, it rewards cutthroat competition, and its favorite question is always, what can I gain? But the craft intentionally pushes back against that drift. It asks a totally different question. What can we build together? The whole institution literally exists to resist that natural human slide toward factions, suspicion, and quiet resentment. It actively teaches its members to circumscribe their desires, and it rewards restraint over ambition. And how does it actually pull that off? It's through what we can call a hidden geometry of brotherhood. It's the brother who actively chooses patience over getting even. It's the officer who steps up to serve rather than to rule over everybody. It's the experienced past master who gently guides the group without demanding absolute control. It's the younger Mason who makes a conscious point to just listen deeply before talking. This voluntary self-restraint, not the physical stone, not some fancy title or organizational rank, is the true disciplined character. It's the secret architecture that actually holds the entire temple together. Because without those specific practiced virtues, every lodge, really every community or company out there, eventually hits a brick wall. They crash right into a Nash equilibrium of mediocrity. That is a state where nobody trusts anyone else quite enough to be the first one to make a sacrifice. Nobody wants to lead because they're terrified of the criticism. Nobody patches up their differences because their pride is screaming for a victory. And so, the whole group stays permanently, frustratingly stuck. Section 5, breaking the equilibrium. The power of moral courage. So, the big question. How do we actually break this profound stalemate? Well, we know for sure it's not going to fix itself if everyone keeps playing the self-interest card. You can't break it with brute force or clever little politics, and you definitely don't fix it by just being the loudest guy in the room. It actually just takes one individual, one brother willing to step up and subordinate his own ego for the harmony of the group. It means picking a core principle over your own personal advantage. It means extending your hand to someone else before you ever wait for them to reach out to you. And honestly, most importantly, it means having the guts to be that first brave person at the concert who just sits down so that everyone else can finally rest. The outside world loves to believe that raw power is what changes systems. But Freemasonry teaches a much harder, much deeper lesson. Conduct changes systems. Just one single, visible act of integrity acts like a total shock to the system. It resets the entire board, proving that the old, tired rules of self-interest aren't the only way to play the game anymore. And when that happens, the domino effect is absolutely incredible. Once men stop protecting just themselves and their own tiny little circles, the momentum shifts, and it shifts fast. That normalization of selfishness just crumbles. The invisible walls drop, and trust finally returns. And with that trust coming back, the whole equilibrium flips. The lodge becomes what it was always meant to be from the start, a true sanctuary, where men improve themselves specifically by improving each other. It turns back into a cooperative environment, bringing light into corners that were completely dimmed out by ego.
There's a saying, the temple is not built by men seeking the highest seat. It is built by men willing to carry the heaviest stone. That right there is the ultimate realization of Masonic labor. True progress, actual building. It demands humility, not vanity. It demands that you're willing to do the hard, unseen work of self-restraint purely for the benefit of the whole group. The secret is shifting your mindset. You have to stop asking, how do I get the upper hand? So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, vital question to really chew on. What am I willing to sacrifice so the whole may prosper? Take a hard look at the Nash equilibriums in your own life, your family, your workplace, your community, and ask yourself, do you have the moral courage to be the one who sits down first?